Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I have week 9 of the 12 weeks of Christmas series. So let's jump right in. So for this one, I really wanted to make some artist trading cards, some ATCs, and my favorite way to do that generally is to make 4 of them at a time. So I take a piece of 5x7 cardstock. In this case, it is Strathmore Ready Cut 5x7 watercolor cardstock, because I wanted to use my sprays for the background. So I have Tumbled Glass, just the regular distress spray stain, and then I have Merry Mint and Fortune Teller, which are 2 of the Mica spray stains they're all distress, they're all Tim Holtz. But I believe Fortune Teller came out this year, but I think Merry Mint came out last year. If they're still available, I'll have them linked and listed down below in case you're interested. If not, any colors would do. They don't have to be the Mica ones. You could easily recreate this with Wilted Violet or Seedless Preserves Salvaged Patina and Tumbled Glass, and you'd get a similar effect. You just wouldn't have that Mica flake kind of in the background. But either way, so I did spray them on. You saw there, I added a pretty good amount of water to start because I really wanted them to blend together, knowing that these colors would look phenomenal together. So I chose colors I knew wouldn't make brown so that I could have them mix and mingle and look really pretty together. And then I'm just going to heat set it in between my layer. I am going to add one more layer of color on this because I felt like my Tumbled Glass got a little bit lost. Because the Micas have that mica powder in them, they end up being a bit more opaque than the Distress stain, which is what the Tumbled Glass is. So I just felt like it got a little lost and I wanted to add it back in. And so that dries, and then I'm going to splash a little bit of water on this to kind of create more texture in the background. It's fairly textured as is because it is a cold press watercolor cardstock. So it does have a fair amount of texture on its own, but I think it's really fun to watch the colors react. So I end up doing this. And again, it's in the background. You're not going to be noticing it super well at the end because we're going to do other things, but I still think that it just ends up looking really pretty. So it's something that I like to add in there just for added interest, especially just for my own happiness watching things react with water. And then I did heat set it one more time because I wanted to bring in some paste and I really wanted it to be dry before I did that. So here I have the Simon Says Stamp Snowflake Cluster Stencil and some Snowfall grit paste. Now, the Snowfall grit paste does actually have glitter in the paste, but I am going to add some. So these artist trading cards are going to have probably the most amount of glitter I've ever added to anything that wasn't a shaker card. So it's kind of funny. I went all out. I kind of feel like I can. We only have a couple of weeks of the Christmas makes left, and I really wanted to add some shimmer and shine. And then you can see Amber there. She's helping me out. She's standing above my media mat there, making sure that I put the paste down nicely. And I just use the spatula, the palette knife. It's also from Tim Holtz. Any palette knife would work, of course. And I kind of went a bit thin for this. I don't want it to steal the show. So it is a translucent grit paste. It's really going to add texture and some glitter more than blatantly give you snowflakes. We're going to go in and add some extra texture in a minute after everything's dry. So it'll seem like a minute for you. It was a while for me, but to give it a little extra added texture and kind of make it stand out a bit more. But at this point, you're not going to be able to tell. So I did, before it dried, I brought in my rock candy glitter in my glitter duster. And I'm just lightly misting the whole background with the rock candy glitter. And this is going to get embedded into that paste and then stay on the background. So I did kind of just tap a little bit of the excess off. And it's kind of hard to see here. I don't know if you guys get a really good picture of it, but it is stunning. And it is so shiny. That rock candy glitter, it looks so good. I love the distress glitters. They're just really nice. And then I brought in a distress crayon. This was actually a pearly one that I came out last year. I believe it's Frosted Juniper, the distress crayon, but ultimately I'm just kind of adding it to the edges of the the grit paste to give them a little more depth and dimension. This isn't necessary. You could totally skip this, but I felt like it just brought a little bit more of it forward so that it wasn't quite so in the background, so you kind of missed it completely. So, I mean, as you know, we're going to cut these down because the only rule to an artist trading card is that it has to be 2.5 by 3.5 inches. So we are going to trim these down later, but this just kind of added a little more interest to the background, and it kind of hit those raised areas. You can really see it in the top right corner where you have that center of the snowflake, and you can kind of see where I've kind of added it there, and you can really see it. But it's throughout the whole background, so it kind of just adds it a little bit of extra texture. And honestly, if I had had the white distress crayon, I would have used that. I don't own it. I need to get it, but I don't have it. So I chose to use that slightly light green color because I thought it would match the background really well and just add a little more interest. And then I brought in the Lawn Fawn Pixie Dust cardstock. You saw me tip it in the light there so you could enjoy all of its glittery goodness. And then I brought in the Tim Holtz mini paper snowflakes, I believe they're called. And I'm going to pick random ones out of there and I'm going to die cut them. I want 3 snowflakes for each artist trading card. So that means I'm going to have 12 for the 4 cards. And I'm going to run them through my switch with my chrome mat because it's just my chrome precision plate, because it's fabulous with these really intricate, delicate dies. So you see it come back forward because I did actually use the dual pressure because the switch has that button where it like switches to come back out the front instead of the back. So I did that after it had gone through the whole way, and you can see that these pop out beautifully of this glittery cardstock. There was no issues. I had no issues popping out the little centerpieces that are cut in there. I use my finger. I find that easy. You could absolutely use a pokey tool or whatever you want to use, but this is just easy for me. And I mean, some glitter cardstocks I find are really difficult to die cut. This was beautiful to die cut. So I thought that was pretty amazing, and I'm really happy because I'm kind of learning my switch and what sandwiches are working and what kind of needs more pressure and what doesn't. So I'm still kind of learning that with this machine as it is fairly new to me still, but I really enjoy using it. So then I cut down my 5x7 cardstock. As I said, they will be 2.5 by 3.5 inches each one, so it does give you 4 perfectly cut ATCs. I like to make them in sets of 4 just because I don't make ATCs super often. So when I make them, I like to make quite a few so that I have more to trade with other artists. I think that that's just a really fun and great way to, have manageable small pieces of art that you've, traded with other artists around the world. And I think that that's a really fun. I've got a fair collection going on here now, so I'm pretty excited to trade when I do get to trade. I don't do it super often anymore, but I do really enjoy it. And then you can see that I have a mix of, I'm going to use some liquid glue for some of the snowflakes and adhere them flat down to the background. And then on some of them, I think I did 2 of each card, and then 1 is flat to the background and then 2 on each is popped up. I just used a really thin 3D foam square to pop up 2 of the other snowflakes on there. Just to, again, I like to add dimension. I think that it looks really nice, but then it's really thin, so it still mails well and fits in the little sleeves that I like to mail mine in to keep them safe. So it's just kind of my way of sending them to other people, but it's just kind of a fun way to add extra dimension to them. And then, so I'm going to bring this up. I know you guys know if you've been with me for a minute, but I do have a PO box that if you're at all interested in sending me a letter or a card or a doodle or whatever you want to send, please feel free. The address is in the description down below if you're at all interested. It is a newer thing to me. I've only had it a month or 2 now, I think. And because it's a newer thing, I want anybody who is interested to know that it does exist. So if it's of interest to you, please feel free to send anything you feel you want to share with me, and I greatly appreciate it. So we're going to finish up with that last ATC, and I did them all the same with this part. Actually, they're all the same regardless. It's just that they're different, like color weaves or like which snowflake is on which one, that kind of stuff. Like they're kind of like a set, but they are a bit different. And then because I like to add texture and different things to my cards, I kind of cut out these fun little notches randomly around the card. I'm going to cut 3 because, again, I like uneven numbers. That is my tendency. I'm going to cut 3 in each card, and then on the largest one, I'm going to grab my reverse tweezers. Sadly, I get a little bit out of frame here, when I grab the reverse tweezers because I brought it closer to my face, but I'm just using the tweezer to grab the edge of that one kind of cut, and then I'm curling it around the tweezer to get it to roll so that it looks a bit more tattered and as if the cardstock's rolling away from itself. So I like that look. I think it looks really neat and it adds a lot of interest to the card, but it's still kind of subtle and in the background. Like the snowflakes are going to take center stage, or alternatively the vibrant colors of the background depending on what catches your eye first. But I think this is just kind of a fun way to add a little extra texture into the background. And then here I'm going to add a couple of the Studio Katia Icy Sparkle Crystals onto all of the snowflakes. Each snowflake got one, so again, there's 3, your uneven numbers. But I did aim for the center of each snowflake just because I thought it looked nice. They don't need to be in the center. That's just my thing. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit of extra sparkle because I don't think I had to stop. I'm a more is more style crafter. So I do have a tendency towards, adding all the shiny things, all the blings, everything that I can, I will. So I did in this specific set of ATCs, but hopefully, when I send them to somebody, they'll make them smile. And that's really all that matters about my kind of over the top creating. But I really like how these came together. So for a final bit of embellishment for this, I did bring in some of the Distress Mica flakes. As you can see, they're kind of on that corner of my mat and they're beside my hand there. And I just randomly kind of added areas of my Barely Art glue around the card so I could get these like ice-like snowflakes to just stick to the ATC. And I think it adds just another element of, snow and glitter and shine and shimmer into the card itself. And it's just really pretty. So I'm going to hold them all up here in the end so you can kind of see it, because I know it's a bit difficult to see what it's doing here. And of course, at this point, the glue is not dry. So really you kind of end up seeing the white glue more than the kind of cool mica flakes. But I think that they turned out really pretty and they just make me smile, which at the end of the day is kind of what I'm going for. So here I'm going to give you a look at all 4 of the cards. You can kind of see all that shimmer and shine in the background. Like, they're just so pretty. If you like glitter, these are like perfect for a person because they just have so much shine in them. But yeah, so that is the card I have for you. Well, the ATCs I have for you this week. Hopefully you enjoyed them. I'd love to hear what you think. If you have any comments or questions or anything, let me know. Comment below and I do respond to them all. It takes me a minute sometimes, but I do always answer. And yeah, I'd love it if you'd consider subscribing, leave me a like, leave me a comment, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye for now.